This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Britain's national gas network is ready to accommodate hydrogen as a fuel to power homes and industry. A report based on a trial carried out by National Gas showed on Wednesday, which owns and operates the gas transmission network. Replacing natural gas with hydrogen is viewed as a way to help reduce carbon emissions and dependency on fossil fuels. The previous UK government supported blending up to 20% of hydrogen by volume in the gas distribution network if enabled.
Oil prices rebounded on Wednesday, snapping 3 straight sessions of decline, as falling US crude inventories and growing supply risks from wildfires in Canada boosted prices. Brent crude futures for September rose 37 cents, or 0.5%, to $81.38 a barrel by 0343 GMT. US West Texas Intermediate crude for September increased 38 cents, or 0.5%, to $77.34 per barrel. WTI had lost 7% over the previous 3 sessions, while Brent shed nearly 5%. US crude oil, gasoline and distillate inventories fell for the 4th straight week in the previous week, according to market sources citing the American Petroleum Institute, reflecting steady demand in the world's largest consumer of oil.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Indonesia is planning for the widespread use of the palm oil-based B40 biodiesel in 2025, replacing the current B35 blending, the Energy Ministry said in a statement. The world's biggest palm oil maker currently has a mandatory 35% blend of palm oil-based fuel in biodiesel and is seeking to ramp up the new blend of 40% palm oil to cut its energy imports and increase consumption of the oil. If implemented, the overall biodiesel consumption could reach up to 16 million kilolitres next year, the ministry said. The ministry said late on Tuesday it had tested the biodiesel, mixed with 40% of palm oil, on a train for the first time earlier this week.
U.S. crude oil, gasoline and distillate inventories fell last week, according to market sources citing American Petroleum Institute figures on Tuesday. The API figures showed crude stocks were down by 3.9 million barrels in the week ended July 19, the sources said, speaking on condition of anonymity. Gasoline inventories fell by 2.8 million barrels, and distillates fell by 1.5 million barrels. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Dalian iron ore futures prices extended their decline for a 4th straight session on Wednesday, weighed down by a weakening steel market and lingering concerns of softer demand in top consumer China. The most traded September iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended the morning trade 1.46% lower at 777 yuan, $106.80, a metric ton. The contract hit an intraday low of 771 yuan and 50 fen a ton earlier in the session, its lowest level since April 8. The benchmark August iron ore on the Singapore Exchange, however, was 0.26% higher at $100.85 a ton, as of 0330 GMT.
India slashed import duties on gold and silver on Tuesday in a move industry officials said could lift retail demand and help cut smuggling in the world's second biggest bullion consumer. Higher demand for gold from India could boost global prices, which hit a record high this year, although that could widen India's trade deficit and put pressure on its ailing rupee. It's a massive step in the right direction, as it will reduce the incentives for smuggling of gold. It will create a level playing field for honest industry stakeholders, said Sachin Jain, CEO of World Gold Council's Indian operations.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India bought a record amount of edible oils for July delivery, as refiners increased palm oil and soy oil purchases due to lucrative prices and ahead of an anticipated hike in import duties, industry and government sources told Reuters. Higher palm oil purchases by the world's biggest importer of vegetable oils will help to reduce inventories in top producer Indonesia and Malaysia and support benchmark prices. Edible oil imports are set to jump to a record 1.92 million metric tons, up nearly 26% from a month ago, according to average estimates from the data shared by trade houses. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.